Carmelo Anthony has been in trade talks for what seems like years now. Since being traded to the Knicks, his career as well as his reputation has done nothing but get worse. And even though Melo loves New York, I'm not too sure New York loves Melo. Let's switch gears for a second and talk about the Clippers for a bit. Doc Rivers is basically their coach and GM, and though the Clippers have been in contention for years now, people have always said they need that one star to put them on top. Since the big three of Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin came to fruition, the Clippers have never even had a decent small forward, having to run people like Wesley Johnson, Luke Mbamute, and the decaying corpse of Paul Pierce at the starting small forward position. So now let's put two and two together. Knicks want to trade Melo, Clippers need a decent small forward. Seems like a win-win, but we have an issue here. See, Austin Rivers, who is the son of Doc Rivers, is currently on the Clippers, and let's just say he isn't the best of players and probably won't get playing time under any other head coach than his dad. So when a deal came up to send Melo to the Clippers and the Knicks wanted Austin in return, Doc put his son over the betterment of the team. Keep in mind that whole story is just a rumor, but it's no secret that the Clippers players aren't too fond of Austin Rivers. From Glenn Big Baby Davis blasting Austin on social media to reports coming out that say that Austin seems as though he feels entitled. Having the coach's son on the coach's team is never a good idea. But just for today, let's say that Melo was traded to the Clippers. Doc Rivers was like, screw it, Austin, I'm gonna let you go because I want to get Carmelo. How would the landscape of the 2016-2017 NBA season change if Carmelo Anthony was on the Los Angeles Clippers? Let's look at the Clippers' current small forward situation and see how much better Melo is than the other players they're running at that position. I will be doing this by creating categories and ranking each player out of 10. And I'll also be basing these stats off their per 36-minute stats. The categories will be defense, offense, shooting, and playmaking. And just keep in mind that 5 out of 10 is average, so you might see low numbers. Just know that 5 out of 10 is decent. Let's start with Melo first. According to his per 36-minute stats, Melo averages 0.9 steals and 0.5 blocks per game. But even with that, you don't really need stats to know that Carmelo Anthony isn't much of a defensive player at all. I'll give him a 5 out of 10 for that. As for offense, even at Melo's old age, he is a lethal scorer, averaging 23.5 points per game per 36 minutes. That stat is made even more impressive when you consider that the average small forward in the NBA averages 11.2 points per game, so I'll give Melo a 9 out of 10 in that category. Now for shooting, Melo isn't a deadly three-point shooter, but he's okay. He's hovering right around league average at 36%, so I'll give him a 7 out of 10 for that. As for Melo's passing, it leaves much to be desired. It's no secret that he's not much of a playmaker, even though he averages 3 assists per game per 36 minutes. When you watch him in real life, you can tell he's not much of a playmaker. I'll give him a 6 out of 10 for that. So when we add those all up, Melo's total rating is 28 out of 40. Now let's compare Melo to Wesley Johnson. According to his per 36-minute stats, Wesley averages 1.3 steals and 1.3 blocks per game. He has nice length, decent athleticism, and he doesn't necessarily block shots, but you will see him bother a lot of shots. For defense, I give him 7 out of 10. As for offense, he doesn't do much. He averages per 36 minutes 8.3 points per game, and like I said, the average small forward in the NBA averages 11.2 points per game, so I'll give Wesley a 4 out of 10 for that. As for shooting, this man shoots 25% from 3, well below league average, which is 35%, so I'll give him a 4 out of 10 for shooting. And lastly, playmaking, per 36 minutes, Wesley Johnson averages exactly 1 assist per game. 1 assist in 36 minutes. Obviously not much of a playmaker, well below small forward average. An average small forward in the NBA gets 2.2 assists per game, so I'll give Wesley a 3 out of 10 on that one. And when we add up Wesley's totals, he gets 18 out of 40, well below Melo's 28 out of 40. So clearly Melo is a huge upgrade over Wesley Johnson, that's no question. But let's look at the Clippers' other small forward, Luke Mbah-a-Moute. Luke is pretty good on defense. I would say one of the better defenders in the league. He averaged 1.6 steals and 0.6 blocks per game, and for that I'll give him an 8 out of 10 on defense. Luke isn't known for his offense, but it's still decent. 9.8 points per game per 36 minutes, so I'll give him a 5 out of 10 on that one. This one really surprised me because it turns out Luke is actually a good shooter. He's hovering at around 39% from 3. That's a little skewed. He only took 2 threes per game, but props to you, dude, 9 out of 10. And Luke's playmaking leaves much to be desired. 0.8 assists per game, even worse than Wesley Johnson, so I'll give him a 3 out of 10. Like that's disgusting. When we add up Luke's totals, they turn out to be 24 out of 40. Keep in mind, that is very skewed because his 3-point shooting was very high, but still, Luke is a decent player. So clearly, Carmelo is an upgrade over anybody they had regularly running the small forward position. So for that, I think he'll garner the Clippers more wins throughout the season. In real life, the Clippers record was 51-31. Now that they got Carmelo, I'm gonna go over some key games that they might have won or lost with Carmelo and see their record at the end. And also keep in mind, I won't be taking into consideration Blake's injury or Chris Paul's injury because they were battling injuries throughout the season. I'm just gonna assume that Carmelo takes a big load off them, so they will remain healthy. On November 2nd, the Clippers faced off against the Thunder and lost by 2 points. I think with Melo's offensive production, they'll probably win that game, improving their record to 52-30. So the Clippers faced the Nets on November 29th, and the Nets won in double OT, fueled by a red-hot Sean Kilpatrick. And even though Kilpatrick balled out, we all know Melo's clutch. I think he'll be able to deliver an OT, and the Clippers will end up winning that game, improving their record to 53-29. On January 4th, the Clippers faced the Memphis Grizzlies and they won by 9 points. They were fueled by Austin Rivers, who was red hot that night, scored 28, but now they don't have Rivers, so they lose that game, making their record go back down to 52-30. On March 15th, the Clippers faced the Bucks and lost by 1 point. I'm pretty sure having Melo on your team will get you more than 1 point. They end up winning that game, making their record go back to 53-29. On March 23rd, the Clippers faced the Mavericks, losing by 2 points. With Melo, no doubt, they're gonna win that game, improving their record to 54-28. On March 28th, the Clippers faced the Kings and lost by 1 point. Again, I think Melo will make them win that game. Their record goes up to 55-27. On January 19th, the Clippers faced off against the Minnesota Timberwolves and they lost by 3 points. I think just from sheer experience, because you know Timberwolves have a bunch of young players, just from sheer experience, the Clippers end up winning that game, improving their record to 56-26. The Clippers end up with a record of 56-26, making them in the upper echelon of NBA teams. Their points per game jump up from 6th in the league to 4th in the league, and their offensive rating jumps up from 5th in the league to 3rd in the league. With their new record, they end up getting the 3rd seed in the Western Conference, dramatically changing the playoff picture. They end up versing the Thunder in the first round, winning in 5 games. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin don't get injured because they are facing a significantly weaker and less physical team in the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Carmelo can take some pressure off of CP3 and Blake Griffin throughout the regular season, allowing them to be more rested. The Clippers end up having to face the Spurs in the second round, and that's big because that means they're not gonna win. They lose in 7 games. Kawhi locks up Carmelo Anthony and makes him basically a glorified Wesley Johnson. Jonathan Simmons goes ballistic in the playoffs and is a pest in the passing lanes, making CP3 less effective. And Dwayne Dedmon wears out DeAndre Jordan down low, taking away the easy rebounds he usually gets. and the easy lobs he usually gets from CP3 as well. Blake ends up having to take most of the offensive load, and we already know what happens when Blake needs to take an offensive load. He gets injured in game 5, and after that, it's a wrap. So as you guys saw, even with Carmelo Anthony, I don't think the Clippers do much. The Clippers have shown us time and time again that whether it's injuries, on-court tension between CP3 and Blake Griffin, overrated coaching by Doc Rivers, they keep on blowing leads and disappointing us even when they have the best opportunities. And I don't think Melo changes that. Melo has shown us as well that he can't go deep in the playoffs, even back to his days in Denver. While LeBron was leading his Cavaliers to the finals, Carmelo wasn't leading the Denver Nuggets past the second round. And I definitely think that Carmelo makes the Clippers a more exciting team, a more fun team to watch in the regular season. But I don't think he improves their championship hopes, because every star player on that roster has shown us that they disappoint in the biggest moments. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below future video suggestions. I'll be sure to read all your comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Ever, Mr. West is in the building. Ain't no question who about to kill him.